Long time no see. Nah, I'm kidding. It hasn't been that long. You might be wondering where I've been. I just decided to take a little break from recording for a bit, just for a week to kind of just recharge my batteries, you know? We all need a break every once in a while. I didn't skip the gym. I still was going to the gym. However, in terms of recording and posting videos and all that, decided to take like a little week vacation. Other than that, we're back and it is time to hit a push day. It is currently 3:52 in the morning. I also got my pre-workout snack ready to go. Just kidding, this is not a pre-workout snack. This is just a way for me to stay energized for the workout. That is some good shit. We're gonna be hitting some chest, triceps, and shoulders. Nice little push day. And hopefully the gym isn't too crowded, you know? So let's get on the road. No more dilly-dallying. And let's get going. So one thing that I wanted to discuss, how do you determine what I should do in terms of my fitness journey? Should I bulk or should I cut? I get this question asked a lot, and it's something that a lot of people tend to ask when they initially start their fitness journey or lifting journey. They always ask, well, I don't know what I should do right now. Should I bulk up or should I cut? If you are on the skinnier side, and you don't have that much body fat on you, or if you describe yourself or put yourself in the infamous category known as skinny fat, you would essentially need to start a bulk, because the premise of a cut and the whole purpose of a cut is to lose body fat while retaining muscular size. And that muscle that you're trying to hold on to while cutting should already be there. Now, if there's no frame or structure of any type of muscle before the cut, then you're not going to be building as much muscle as you intend to. So it's very important to make sure you have some type of structure or frame or blueprint of you having some type of muscle on you. So when you do cut, none of that muscle mass gets lost. Let's say you're on the heavier side and you're trying to cut down. It is possible to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time. It's a little bit trickier though, or you could do a body recomp. So it really just depends on what your goals are and where you currently stand in terms of a physical aspect. And another thing you have to consider as well, it's a lot of trial and error, unfortunately, because you also have to determine where and how your body reacts to change in terms of a caloric intake. So you have to determine what is your TDEE. And people always ask, what does TDEE mean? And we've talked about it before. TDEE stands for total daily energy expenditure. And that is just a fancy word for maintenance calories. And this is just the amount of calories your body needs to expend to not gain or lose any type of fat or weight. So the number on the scale will essentially stay the same if your TDEE is on point on a day-to-day basis. Now with TDEE, or maintenance calories for short, you also have to realize that that includes everything in a day-to-day basis. This includes any type of movement, including working out as well, and your day-to-day life, whether that be working, walking, fidgeting with your fingers, chewing, talking, things like that. And then on top of that, any type of physical output you do on a day-to-day basis in terms of physical activity, whether that be running, jogging, lifting weights, and all that. And based on that, including some other factors like your height, age, and weight, you can determine what your maintenance calories are. It's a lot of trial and error. However, it is very doable to do, and it takes a little bit of patience. If you've never done anything like this before, you're going to have to experiment a little bit. You might have to consume a certain amount of calories and just track your weight on a day-to-day basis and see how your body reacts. And that is how you can determine what your maintenance calories are. And once you figure out what those maintenance calories are by constantly weighing yourself on a day-to-day basis, adjusting the caloric intake as the days go by, you can create a blueprint for yourself. And based on what your goals are, you can decide from that point whether to cut or bulk. Anything under your maintenance will be a cut, and anything over your maintenance will be a bulk. And this can be anywhere from as little as 50 calories to as maximum as 500 calories. And this really all depends on how slow you want to go about it or how fast you want to go about it. And remember, the slower you go on a cut, the less muscle mass you will likely lose. You can do aggressive cuts. Just keep in mind in terms of keeping on to as much of that muscular size and all that work you put in terms of building muscle, there is a greater risk at losing some of that when doing an aggressive cut. And with the bulk, same thing vice versa. You want to make sure you're not going too aggressively on a bulk. You can gain more fat quickly by overdoing the surplus, and this is what you don't want. With a bulk, you want to minimize the amount of fat gain so you're left with more quality muscle without having to jeopardize that in terms of cutting when it's time to slim down. And then that begs the question, what should I do in terms of building muscle? And again, this just overall depends on what your goal is. Do you want to bulk up? Do you want to put on some more size? Or are you trying to lean out? And again, it really just depends on where you stand at this moment. If you don't have a lot of muscle on you and you're on the lighter side, it's probably best to start bulking up and adding a little bit more size to your framework and then proceeding to do a cut after you've built that size and you've definitely added that structure to yourself. And if you're not on the lighter side and you want to lose a little bit of body fat, it is probably best to start a cut and try your best to do either a body recomp and add muscle and simultaneously burn fat. Now, it's hard to stay committed sometimes when you feel like you're not making progress or seeing results right away. But again, this is a marathon, not a race. And it's really not that difficult once you understand it and you get the hang of it. It becomes like second nature to you, and it becomes like breathing after that point. You know, I remember the first time I started tracking, I used to get in my head a lot or used to think I was messing up or making mistakes frequently. But after a while, I realized it's just practice, 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 and eventually you'll get better at it and it becomes like second nature to you. If my scale ever runs out of batteries or I'm in a situation where I can't measure my food, luckily, I'm fortunate enough to always be able to measure my food. However, in those rare instances when that occurs, I'm able to sort of eyeball my food and kind of guesstimate as accurately as I can without jeopardizing or compromising my nutritional intake. And if you're having trouble doing that on your own, there's tools that you can use online that can help. One of my favorites that I recommend people is tdeecalculator.net. I'll put a link up in the photo of the website for you to see. That website helps a lot of people who are new to this and are trying to figure out what their maintenance calories are. And there are two other tools you can use for this as well. Firstly, one of them you would want to purchase would be a scale. And that's something that you can use on a day-to-day basis in the morning to weigh yourself and get like an accurate reading as the days and weeks go by. You want to make sure you're weighing yourself consistently in the sense of, I wake up in the morning on an empty stomach, weigh myself, and make sure it's always around that same time because our weight fluctuates throughout the day. If you were to weigh yourself in the morning on an empty stomach, and then 2 days later you weigh yourself again, but it's towards the end of the day after you've already eaten, worked out, and drank a lot of fluids, your weight is going to be significantly different in comparison to 2 days ago in the morning. So you want to make sure whatever time you decide to weigh yourself, to always weigh yourself around that same time window, and also making sure that, you know, if you had food in your stomach or if you didn't have food in your stomach, to repeat the process and make sure you're keeping it as close and accurate as you did the first time you did weigh yourself. I always recommend on an empty stomach in the morning before you go work out or get any type of food in you. That would be your most accurate weight. And secondly, the next thing you want to purchase is a food scale. A food scale is honestly the most accurate and the best way to properly track your macros without overguessing or getting the wrong information, because measuring cups are useful and sometimes they're a little inaccurate depending on where you buy them from. I believe a food scale is a lot more accurate and it's just going to be overall more beneficial to your fitness journey in terms of being able to track your calories as efficiently as possible. It is currently 4:09. So I'm going to finish my drink, and once I'm done, we're going to head inside, film the sets and all that, you know, this whole spiel, and then show you guys the pump afterwards and the progression. I'll see you guys afterwards. Alrighty. So that pretty much wraps it up. As you can tell by the footage, it was an amazing pump, an amazing workout. Chest is looking full, striated, huge. The pump was absolutely pumping. Hit a few PRs as well. I consider a PR not just moving heavier weight, but if I can increase the amount of reps I normally do with said weight, I consider that a PR. And I was able to do that today with a couple of workouts, hitting a few more reps than I normally could as the week prior. So that's really amazing. Overall, great day, great workout. I managed to also do some cardio afterwards. Typically for cardio or any type of cardiovascular movement, I like to go on walks outside of the gym, but for today I decided to just do a 3-mile walk on the treadmill at a steady pace. And yeah, overall it was amazing. Honestly, overall a great workout and an amazing morning so far. And I hope you guys are having a great week so far. I'm gonna go home, edit this little guy together, get some food in me, shower, change, get ready for work. You know all that jazz. Tomorrow's back day. No promises or guarantees on a video, but we'll see if we'll film one. But until then, I'll catch you on the next one. Alrighty.